JBN, we keep you informed. I am Michelle Jones, and in the news, Kingston District charged for not reporting murder. A 34-year-old district has been charged with misprision of a felony after he allegedly failed to report a murder he reportedly witnessed to the police. According to the police, Kevin Campbell, otherwise known as DJ Extreme or Slick Jack, of a Kingston 8 address, witnessed the shooting death of Dwayne Francis, otherwise called Troy, on Friday, August 21, 2021, but failed to report it to the authorities. He was charged after recorded witness statements listed him present at the time the crime was committed. The police are reminding citizens that it is an offense to have knowledge that a crime has been or is about to be committed and to not report it to the relevant authorities. Bearer shot and injured in Santa Cruz robbery. A bearer has been hospitalized after he was shot during an armed robbery in Santa Cruz, St. Elizabeth on Friday morning. Dwight Daly, head of the St. Elizabeth Police, said that the bearer, who is contracted to a financial institution, was targeted while walking to a bank in the town. He said about 10:40 a.m. the bearer was held up by a gunman and a tussle ensued. The bearer ran but was shot. Daly said the gunman escaped with an undetermined sum of cash. Investigators are still probing the incident. The police chief reiterated the need for businesses to use security measures when moving large sums of cash. He added that the police have been maintaining their presence in Santa Cruz, with a strong deployment of police in the town, but it is just that the police were not at that location, he explained. Statistics from the Jamaica Constabulary Force show that up to June 26, St. Elizabeth recorded 34 robberies when compared to 12 for the corresponding period last year. Police imposter charged with murder and wounding with intent. A man, who was among a group posing as police officers, has been charged with the murder of a woman they allegedly killed in her home in Spanish Town, St. Catherine on Monday, May 2. The deceased has been identified as 30-year-old Shawnette White. Charged with her murder is 24-year-old Roy Samuels, otherwise called Bigger, a laborer of Old Harbour Road in the community. Samuels is also charged with wounding with intent in relation to the incident. Reports are that at about 1 a.m., Samuels, along with other men posing as police officers, went to the home of the now deceased and ordered her to open the door. It is alleged that White opened the door and was greeted with gunshots. She died on the spot. The men then reportedly entered the house and shot another occupant before escaping in the area. The police said Bigger was picked up by the police during a targeted operation in the parish on Sunday, June 19, and was subsequently charged. His court date is being finalized. Uncles mourn Westmoreland teen's death. Two uncles of 17-year-old Jerry Francis, otherwise called Jay, who was gunned down early Thursday morning, have painted a worrying picture of the youngster's life. He got caught up with the wrong crowd after a heartbreaking trail of relatives' deaths left him adrift, dashing their high hopes for him, they said. Francis was ambushed and killed in a yard at Ricketts Avenue in Savlamar about 5:20 a.m. He was found with gunshot wounds to his head and upper body and lacerations to his neck, the police report said. His uncle, Lyndon James, believes he would still be alive if only him did listen. I am not going to shield him, but he just met the wrong crowd. He got caught up in the violence, where it's like he just got to find a way to survive, said James, who lives in the United States. He said there was a turf war brewing, up road versus down road, in the gritty community of Russia, and Francis lived in the enemy zone. He is haunted by the memory of being told, just after attending his grandfather's wife's wake, that his nephew, who liked to tell jokes and loved to dance, had been killed. Those two deaths are thus the latest of the grieving family. Francis's younger brother died 4 years ago in a motorcycle crash. His mother died in 2020 after healing for some time. Last year, his grandmother, James's mother, died. She was hypertensive. James, who is the breadwinner for the family, said lack of parental guidance led to his nephew's early demise. With the death of his mother and grandmother, coupled with an absentee father, there was a change in the teen's behavior, he said. Francis stopped attending school from the 9th grade due to financial constraints, and James believes this left him with too much free time on his hands. Late last year, his uncle said he spent time in jail in connection with a shooting incident that involved the police. James thinks his nephew was wrongfully accused in that case, but acknowledges that he was not a saint. I always talked to him over and over. I tried to get him out of the bad company. I tried giving him a chicken coop, he said. I really love him, no matter if him good or bad, he said while stressing that he never supported any of his nephew's bad deeds. Another of Francis's uncles, Damien Rose, spoke of the dreams they had for the teenager after the death of his younger nephew. To tell you the truth, we expect great things. We were really looking up to him as a big nephew, he said. The last time he spoke to his nephew, he was at an event and couldn't talk long. He was looking forward to seeing him soon, he said, when he got word of his death. 2 Jamaicans in the U.S. plead guilty to running fake sweepstakes. 2 Jamaicans pleaded guilty Thursday to conspiracy to commit wire fraud for their role in international sweepstakes that were allegedly scams. Maurice Levy and Derek Levy, 51 and 54 respectively, committed a series of sweepstakes scams across the United States, preying on elderly and easily confused victims, federal prosecutors alleged. The 2 men used a call center in Costa Rica and masked their location through fake U.S. calling codes, according to the Department of Justice. Maurice Levy and Derek Levy further admitted that they would call individuals in the United States, many of whom are elderly and vulnerable, and falsely claim that the individuals had won a sweepstakes prize but were required to pay fees prior to the delivery of the prize. In truth, no such prize existed, the DOJ said in a statement. Once the victim made an initial payment for the purported fees, Maurice Levy, Derek Levy and their co-conspirators would continue to call the victim, falsely representing that a mistake had been made and that the victim had actually won a prize of a greater amount or an issue had occurred, and the victim needed to pay additional fees to claim the prize, the DOJ continued. Many victims sent tens of thousands of dollars to Maurice Levy, Derek Levy and their co-conspirators in response to these calls. Both men were accused of taking in almost $10 million over the course of 8 years. During the scheme, Derek Levy and Maurice Levy fraudulently obtained more than $9,400,000 from victims, which was used to continue operating the call centers and for the co-conspirators' personal benefit, the DOJ added. Police alert persons about robbery prevention tips. The police are alerting citizens to an emerging trend where robbers target individuals making large cash transactions at commercial banks in town centers. In a press release from the Constabulary's Corporate Communications Unit, the police said investigators have so far picked up on incidents in Portmore, Halfway Tree, Ligonier, Maypen, and Duke Street in downtown Kingston. The police said information gathered so far suggests that the robbers work in groups, employing at least 2 individuals, one as a spotter to identify potential victims and another who commits the actual act of robbery. It noted that a motorcycle is a preferred mode of transport, though there have been incidents where motor cars were used. There are also reports of perpetrators fleeing the scene on foot. The police said that while some arrests have been made, investigators believe the syndicate continues to operate and are warning the public to be extremely vigilant. The following are some steps that can be employed to reduce vulnerability. Opt for non-cash options. The rise of online banking has provided many opportunities for direct bank-to-bank transfers. Where the limits on these avenues may not meet the cash needs, explore other options such as checks or wire transfers. Pay attention to your surroundings and trust your gut. While criminals work very hard to blend in and appear normal, most victims report having a gut feeling before the incident. Trust that feeling and do not dismiss it. In public spaces, seek out a police officer or security guard or raise an alarm. When attending banks, avoid wearing expensive jewelry and carrying costly gadgets. These items increase the likelihood of you being targeted by robbers. Be careful who you trust. In some cases, it has been borne out that robbers were alerted to persons by others with whom they shared information. This includes bank employees and even relatives and friends. Do not resist. Generally, robbers prefer not to engage the target. This changes, however, when there is resistance. Resistance increases the likelihood of serious injury or death, and persons are advised to comply and prioritize life over possessions. Wife killer gets life 25 years before parole. Jamaican-Canadian Alfonso Warren was sentenced to life imprisonment in the Home Circuit Court on Thursday for the murder of his wife nearly 7 years ago. Warren must serve 25 years before he is eligible for parole. The court, however, deducted from the sentence The 7 years Warren spent in custody before his sentencing. Prosecutors had requested that Warren spend more than 25 years before being eligible for parole. Warren was last month found guilty of the stabbing murder of wife Stephanie at the couple's home in Kingston on December 31, 2015. Stephanie was attacked during a domestic dispute. Trial Judge Justice Leighton Pusey stated that Warren's previous 4 convictions were taken into consideration in the sentencing, which included the death of a child of the couple. He said Warren's intent at the time of the murder was also considered, as it seemed to have been a crime of passion. Pusey, however, said that the gravity of the offense was a major factor in the sentencing, and the message to the general populace that the time given must serve as a deterrent. Warren was found guilty of child abandonment of the couple's 8-month-old daughter Angelica Leslie in Canada. The child was found on the stairwell of a parking garage in January 2008. Stephanie was also found guilty of the offense. They fled to Jamaica after Warren served 11 months in a 2-year sentence before being released, and then on April 29, 2011, Warren was found guilty of malicious destruction of property and sentenced to $40,000 or 3 months imprisonment. On September 6, 2012, he was sentenced to 12 months at hard labor for concealment of death and failure to bury a dead body after one of his children was found dead in a suitcase. Jamaica reports 108 new COVID cases, 2 deaths. Jamaica reported 108 new cases of COVID-19 and 2 fatalities on Thursday, according to the latest statistics from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. This pushed the total number of cases of the virus since the start of the pandemic to 142,912 and the death toll to 3,130. Of the newly reported cases, there were 71 females and 37 males with ages ranging from 2 days to 85 years. The cases were recorded in Kingston and St. Andrew 57, St. Catherine 17, Clarendon 8, St. Elizabeth 7, St. James 3, St. Mary 2, Trelawney 2, Manchester 1 and St. Thomas 1. Meanwhile, the latest fatalities are an 83-year-old man from Westmoreland, whose death was recorded in June 2022, and a 75-year-old woman from St. James, whose death was recorded in September 2021. The country also recorded 66 new recoveries, bringing the total number of recoveries to 91,051. The positivity rate for the latest round of testing was 24.7%. There are 106 people hospitalized, 7 of them critically ill. There are 1,643 confirmed active cases on the island.